All right, so even though it's not like the very end of the year as of yet, we're almost into November at this point. I did want to get this video out of the way, and this is going to be my top 15 best interpretations or clones that I have in my collection. All right, so this does have two sort of honorable mentions here. The first one being Paris Corner's Mawj Moscow Mule. I do think that this is a very decent interpretation of by Killian's, what is it, Blue Moon Ginger Dash. When you smell Blue Moon Ginger Dash, you know, next to this one, you do get some differences, and I do absolutely think that the by Killian Blue Moon Ginger Dash is the better fragrance. But this does actually give better projection and longevity overall. And it just smells really fresh, crisp, really sort of, you know, effervescent as well. This is like the perfect hot weather, you know, fragrance to wear. And it's extremely cheap. I want to say that this 100 ml goes for like around $40 or so. So this is a very nice pickup. Paris Corner's Mawj Moscow Mule. And then also Alexandria Fragrances Orchestra, which is their take on Louis Vuitton's, what is it, Symphony. This smells extremely close to Symphony. So close, in fact, that it just doesn't make sense to me anyway to go out and spend almost $600 on Symphony when something like this exists, because I mean the differences are extremely minimal, and this also gives very good performance as well. So again, if you're into Louis Vuitton Symphony and you know you can't afford it, I would absolutely look towards getting Alexandria's Orchestra. All right, so those are going to be the honorable mentions on the list. And so starting off the list, what I have here is from the House of Swiss Arabian. This is their take on, I believe it's called Velvet Tonka from BDK, and this is Shaghaf Oud Tonka. All right, so this fragrance is very heavy on tonka bean, obviously, but also on almond. That's really the main thing that you get when you first spray this on, is you get a huge blast of almond. You get some tonka, I believe some vanilla as well in this fragrance. I don't want to say it really smells like a gourmand, because it really doesn't. It is kind of on the powdery side. It is slightly on the feminine side as well. So I would definitely say beware of that. This is still like a unisex scent, but it's a feminine leaning unisex scent. So if that's not something that you're into, then I would say you would probably want to skip over this one. But this is one of the better releases from that, you know, Shaghaf Oud collection from Swiss Arabian. And I mean, really, I think when I smelled this side by side with Velvet Tonka, this was like 90 or 95% close to Velvet Tonka. Like, it was extremely close, and for a fraction of the cost. So if you're looking for that scent profile of BDK's Velvet Tonka, I definitely would recommend Shaghaf Oud Tonka from Swiss Arabian. Next one is from Fragrance World, and this is their take on Tom Ford's Cherry Smoke, and this is Cherry Incense. So when I smelled Cherry Incense side by side with Cherry Smoke, I was blown away at, you know, how close this came to Cherry Smoke. I mean, you could say that the quality of the cherry, it was ever so slightly better in the Tom Ford, at least for like maybe the opening 5 or 10 minutes or so. And then, I mean, after that, the two fragrances, at least as far as what I could tell, were like almost identical. This is extremely good. It isn't exactly the same as something like, you know, the Lost Cherry scent profile. This isn't going to be nearly as sweet as that is. And it's going to be heavier on incense or smoke, you could say. Also, this fragrance doesn't have really any sort of boozy element to it the way that Lost Cherry does. So if you're just looking for more of like a more kind of unisex sort of, you know, cherry scent, I think that this one would definitely be a good choice. Whereas, you know, the Lost Cherry scent profile and any sort of interpretations of that, those are going to lean a little bit more to like the feminine side, you know, than what this will. All right. So I recommend Cherry Incense from Fragrance World. This also performs very good as well. Easily get, you know, 8+ hours with this fragrance. And the projection on it is pretty good as well. So check out Cherry Incense from Fragrance World. All right, next one is also from Fragrance World, but this one is from French Avenue, and this is Royal Blend. This is their take on By Kilian's Angel Share. This is definitely one of my favorite pickups of the year. I think, you know, as long as I can get my hands on this fragrance and as long as this exists, I really don't see there being any reason for me to pick up Angel Share, because this smells like just like Angel Share. Like I mentioned before, like when I actually did the side-by-side comparison between Angel Share and this, I mean, I don't remember the exact rating that I gave this, but I'm pretty sure it was 95% or better, you know, in terms of how close it was to Angel Share. This also projects a little bit better, at least on my skin, than what Angel Share does. And Angel Share is not a slouch in any sort of way when it comes to the projection, but this just seemed to be a little bit louder. The longevity on this is also very good. You're easily going to get over 10 hours. And I mean, just quality wise, you get everything that you get with Angel Share with Royal Blend. So this has the same sort of booziness that you get from Angel Share in the opening. You get that sort of apple cinnamon, almost, you know, you could say kind of apple pie sort of smell. And then in the dry down, you do definitely get that woody oak sort of smell, that aged oak barrels type of smell that you get from Angel Share. That's also present in this one as well, man. This is a very, very good interpretation of Angel Share. And again, definitely the best one that I've smelled. So check out French Avenue's Royal Blend. All right, so the next one is another one from French Avenue, and this is French Avenue's Liquid Brun. This has been getting a lot of hype, and I believe, at least to me anyway, it deserves the hype. This is extremely close to Altair. I mean, at least for me anyway, smelling Altair and then smelling this, you know, side by side, it doesn't make me want to go out and purchase a bottle of Altair if I have this. This is extremely close to that fragrance. There's, to me, like some minor differences in the opening. Altair seems to be a little bit fresher when it comes to like how it does the bergamot, I believe, whereas I think this one was a little bit more kind of like on the spicier side than what Altair was. But that's something that really only lasts for like the first couple of minutes of the fragrance. And then after that, they're very, very close, man. Also, the projection on this is really, I would say, just as good as it is with Altair. So you're going to get at least about an arm's length for, you know, probably an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And then longevity wise, this is good. You know, I would say at least about what, 10 hours plus really is what you're going to get as far as the longevity on this on skin. So this is a really, really good performer. Smells, you know, really high quality, especially when compared to Altair from PDM. And I mean, I think just overall, for the price that you pay for this fragrance when compared to Altair, this just makes more sense, at least for me anyway. So I really, really love this fragrance. Again, this is French Avenue's Liquid Brun. All right, another one from French Avenue that I really don't feel like gets talked about a lot, but this is a really high quality, really, really nice interpretation. And this is Miraj Absolu. All right, so this is their take on Parfum de Marly's Latent Exclusive. And this, so far anyway, I mean, this seems to be the best smelling one that I've smelled for sure. Now, Fragrance World does also have another version of Latent Exclusive called Anaki. It's a part of their Atula Alam line. That one doesn't smell as high quality as what this one does. It does definitely smell pretty good. You know, the difference is, I would say if you already have Anaki, This one doesn't smell so much better to the point where, you know, you probably need to go out and like replace that bottle with this. Not unless, you know, you're like almost out of Anaki. But I did definitely notice some differences, you know, in terms of the quality, in terms of the performance as well with Miraj Absolu. So this definitely projects better than what Anaki does. The sandalwood and like the oud in this does smell higher quality than what it does in the Anaki. And this is just overall, it's a very good interpretation of Latent Exclusive. Performance wise, it is going to give you very good projection for like at least about the first 2 hours or so. And then, I mean, longevity wise, you're talking at least about 10 plus hours or so. So really strong performer, really high quality smelling. And again, this is Miraj Absolu from French Avenue. Next one on the list is from, I would have to say, one of my more favorite houses so far. This is from Joe Milano, and this is Game of Spades Wildcard. So this is their take on Bond Number 9's Lafayette Street. And this was another one of those interpretations that was like spot on really with the original. Smells of the, you know, exact same quality really as far as what I can tell as what the Bond Number 9 is. And this actually gives you a slightly better performance. Now, what I will say as far as the quality goes, the quality, I guess really once you start to get into like the dry down with the florals, the quality of the florals, I did remember that did smell slightly better in the Bond Number 9 than what it did in the Joe Milano Wildcard. But I mean, it was really something that you would really only be able to tell if you had the, you know, both fragrances on and you were smelling them side by side. I don't think if one day if you wore Joe Milano Wildcard and then, you know, the next day you wore Lafayette Street, I don't think you would really be able to tell the difference really at all, not in the air. But this is really good, man. This, like I said, also performs better than what Joe Milano's, or I'm sorry, than what Bond Number 9's Lafayette Street does. I was getting at least like 8 to 10 hours or so of total longevity with this. And the projections seem to be a little bit better as well than what the Bond Number 9 was. Whereas with the Bond Number 9, that fragrance, I feel like only kind of lasted on me like about 6 hours or so, and then it was gone. But this is a very nice sort of fall time fragrance. So definitely perfect for this time of the year where it's a little bit cooler outside. And you're wanting to wear something that is definitely a little bit more on the sweeter side, a little bit more denser, but this still has a freshness to it. To where, you know, you can definitely kind of wear this depending on where you live almost all year round. So this is just a really nice sort of apple, vanilla. There's also some florals in this as well, some tonka bean. Just a really sort of sweet, yet at the same time kind of fresh type of scent. This is a very versatile and mass appealing scent for sure. And I would say if you're looking for the scent profile, Game of Spades Wildcard is definitely going to be your best choice. So again, check out Joe Milano's Game of Spades Wildcard. Next one on the list, I think I could easily have maybe paired this with, you know, a Joe Milano fragrance as well. But I think just overall, this one is slightly better, or I prefer this slightly more. And this is Armand's Club de Nuit Precieux. All right, so this is their take on Creed Aventus, or Creed Absolu Aventus. And although this isn't like a one-to-one, it's not exactly the same as Absolu Aventus. This is definitely a little bit more on the fruitier side, you know, a lot heavier on the pineapple. I think this is also a little bit heavier on like the spices. You know, in this fragrance as well. But overall, man, this is definitely, it's a very good interpretation of Absolu Aventus. That fragrance I do really like a lot, but this one I do like more than the original Absolu Aventus. It's stronger. You know, it does come in an extrait de parfum concentration, whereas I believe the Creed comes in eau de parfum. So this definitely smells a little bit more stronger and concentrated than what the Creed does. And I mean, quality wise, like I really can't say that the Creed is like that much, you know, better blended than what this is. It is technically better blended when you smell it, you know, side by side with this. But I mean, it's not really that much of a difference, honestly. And like I said, this performs easily, you know, twice as good as what the Creed does, at least in terms of the projection. This definitely projects twice as strong as the Creed. And I mean, in terms of the longevity, I easily get over 12 hours with this. With the Creed, I definitely, that's the Absolu Aventus is the longest lasting Creed fragrance that I've tried or that I've worn. That one does last like a solid around like 8 hours or so on my skin, but this absolutely lasts longer. So if you're looking for a beast mode interpretation of Absolu Aventus with, you know, some amped up sort of fruitiness to it, then I would absolutely recommend checking out Club de Nuit Precieux from Armaf. Next one is another one from French Avenue, and this is another interpretation of a Parfums de Marly fragrance. This is their take on Parfums de Marly's Greenly, and this is Aether Extrait. So Aether Extrait, when you smell this next to Greenly, this smells extremely close, like at least 95% close to Greenly. And the main difference that I get is this seems to be stronger than what Greenly does. Greenly is not, it's not the most beast mode or strongest fragrance in the world. It's really a very kind of close to your skin type of scent. Whereas, you know, this one, it is still a very kind of close, you know, close to your skin sort of scent bubble type of scent. But this really lingers on my skin way longer than what Greenly does. So with Greenly, that's going to be like anywhere from about 4 to 5.5 hours max or so in terms of the longevity. Whereas with the Aether Extrait, I easily get like at least about 7 to 9 hours or so of total longevity. The projection, I would say, is about the same as what you get with Greenly. You know, so I mean, there's not really that much of a difference there. But again, this definitely sticks to my skin at least a lot longer than what Greenly does. So I do definitely recommend this as a Greenly alternative. This is, you know, extremely cheap when it compares to Greenly as well. So this, you know, if you can find it in stock, it's normally going to run you, I believe, around $50 to $60 for this 100 ml bottle. Whereas Greenly, that's going to be, you know, depending on where you can get it from, if you can get it from a really good discounter, maybe around 200. Anywhere else, it's going to be like 300 plus. So at least for this scent profile, it's very simple. It's just kind of like this sort of fresh apple scent with, you know, like vetiver and woods. So it's not really like the most complex or most interesting scent, but it does smell very good and pleasant. And I do definitely recommend Aether Extrait from French Avenue. Next one is, to me, really like the best option for this discontinued fragrance called Dolce & Gabbana's The One Luminous Night. And this is from French Avenue. This is Lumiere Garcon. So Lumiere Garcon, this is a extremely good interpretation of Luminous Night. Little bit more herbal, you know, in the opening. Believe it's like basil, I think, is what you get, you know, as one of the opening notes of this fragrance. That is going to be a little bit heavier in the Lumiere Garcon, but overall, man, this smells extremely close to Luminous Night. This, I've seen some, or I've heard some people kind of compare this to what is it, Initio's Side Effect in terms of how it smells. I can definitely kind of understand the similarities. It doesn't, to me, smell exactly the same as, you know, something like Side Effect. To me, Side Effect comes off as a little bit more boozier and spicier, whereas with this, the luminous night scent profile, to me this comes off as a little bit more on the sweeter side. It does have like a really prominent note of dates that you get with this, so it comes off as a little bit more on the sweeter side, definitely not as boozy. And to me, this comes off a little bit more on the herbal side as well. But overall, man, this is a very nice, masculine, really date night appropriate type of, scent, in my opinion. And it performs really good as well. The projection on this is going to be beast mode, at least for about the first 2.5 hours or so. And then even after that, once it starts to kind of die down, it's still going to be at least within like an arm's length in terms of how it's going to be projecting after that. And I mean, in terms of longevity, you're easily going to get over 12 hours with this. So this is definitely one of those fragrances that you'll want to wear when you want to be noticed. You want to get attention towards yourself. And it is a very high class smelling scent, man. Definitely check out French Avenue's Lumiere Garcon. All right, so another really high class smelling scent, but more so kind of like towards the feminine side, I'm gonna say, is French Avenue's Lumiere Elle. So this is their take on Louis Vuitton's Stellar Times. And Stellar Times for me is definitely more of sort of like a feminine smelling scent, in my opinion. I mean, I know that there are some guys out there who do wear this scent, but at least the way that it smells, or the way that it comes across to me, this to me is more like just a feminine type of scent. It doesn't really smell unisex really at all to me. It does come off as feminine, but it does smell really amazing. So you're gonna get tons of amber with this, kind of like sweet amber. I believe like some bergamot and mandarin orange as well. And then you're going to get a ton of orange blossom with this as well. Just a really, like I said, high class, elegant, feminine smelling scent. Definitely something that I could easily see like a woman wearing on a date or to some sort of event where she wants to get attention. She wants to get compliments. This is definitely going to be one of those types of scents. And it also performs really good as well. This performs easily over 12 hours in terms of longevity. The projection on it is going to be slightly less than what it is with the original Louis Vuitton, but still at least about an arm's length or so for about the first hour and a half. And I mean, overall, this is like 95% close, in my opinion anyway, to Stellar Times, which costs over 10 times more than what this does. So I mean, do with that information what you want, but I would say if you're looking for that scent profile, this is definitely going to be your best choice. Again, this is Lumiere Elle from French Avenue. All right, another one from French Avenue. This one is their take on, Oud Maracuja from Maison Crivelli, and this is Azzure Aoud. All right, this is a very nice fragrance, man. It starts off with like this really nice blast of like fruits and passion fruit. That's really, I would say, my favorite part of this fragrance is the opening. I mean, some people kind of say that the way that the fruits come across in this fragrance is it kind of smells like rotten fruits. I don't necessarily know if I agree with that. I mean, you get a huge dose of that oud as well in the opening. But at least for me anyway, you do get a lot of that passion fruit with this. And like I said, that is one of my favorite parts about this fragrance. And then, after it starts to dry down, it does start to become a lot more kind of smoky, oudy, leathery. But this is one of those types of, oud, leather, rose types of fragrances that I actually don't mind at all. Those are typically not the type of fragrances that I tend to go for or that I tend to like. And this was one of those fragrances that I actually did like. You know, I did enjoy this one. It's not going to be as high quality as the Maison Crivelli. The Oud Maracuja is, you know, especially in the opening, a little bit better in terms of how it does the fruit and the oud. But I mean, for the price difference, you know, between the two, I want to say if you were to get 100 ml of the Oud Maracuja, it would cost like close to $600 or even more than that, possibly. Whereas this is 100 ml and this is like, I believe, anywhere from $40 to $50 or so. So a huge difference, you know, well over 10 times the difference in price. And this comes, what, at least 90+% close to Oud Maracuja, and performs really good as well. You know, 12+ hours in terms of longevity, you know, projection easily for about the first 2.5 hours or so. This is a really, really solid choice if you like that scent profile, man. So if you're looking for a really masculine, you know, sort of oud rose leather with, you know, fruity elements to it as well, if you're looking for that type of scent, definitely check out Azzure Aoud from French Avenue. All right, next one is from Al Haramain, and this is a part of their Amber Oud collection. This is actually their take on, what is it, Mansera's, what is it, Arabian's Tonka, or no, Montal's Arabian's Tonka, I'm sorry. And this is Dubai Night. All right, so Dubai Night, this fragrance is extremely close to Arabian's Tonka. However, there are some differences. And I think the differences between this and Arabian's Tonka actually make this the slightly more kind of wearable and more mass appealing scent out of the two. So this does come off as having a bit of a more jammier rose than what Arabian's Tonka has. This also comes across as slightly less dense. I believe this one kind of has a little bit more bergamot in the fragrance that, you know, again, adds a little bit more freshness to the scent profile and makes it a little bit more aromatic, a little bit more lighter, and a little bit more wearable just overall. You know, I still think that this is mainly a cooler weather type of fragrance, and also mainly a fragrance that you would kind of reach for at night. But overall, this is still a very, very nice scent. It does smell very sort of upscale and high class, but I would still rock this one casually for sure. And, you know, it's a very sort of sugary sweet rose oud. I don't know if there's leather in this. If there is, you know, it's very minimal, but I know for sure, like, the main players in this fragrance are rose, oud, tonka bean. You almost kind of get like this sort of sugary sort of feel from the fragrance, but at the same time, it doesn't smell like super feminine. All right, so like, it, to me, this is still like a unisex type of scent, but this is a unisex scent that I think mainly men would, you know, kind of reach for. All right, so this is, again, extremely good, man. The performance on this is like beast mode. You're gonna easily get over 12 hours of longevity with this, and you're talking at least about 3 hours plus of projection with this fragrance as well. So definitely be easy on the sprays with this one, but again, this is one of the more sexier sort of oud rose combination scents that I've smelled in a while. And again, this is Al Haramain's Amber Oud Dubai Night. All right, next one on the list is Lattafa's Vintage Radio. So Vintage Radio, this is their take on Initio's, what is it? Initio's Paragon. All right, so Paragon is just like this really, almost, you could say, kind of therapeutic sort of plum, Palo Santo, sandalwood. Believe you kind of get like some spices in there as well. It's just a really kind of therapeutic, really calming type of scent. That's the vibe that I get from all of these sort of Hedonist collection scents from Initio. And those are all the bottles that basically come in white. All of those scents are really, really good. I do own two of them. So I have the Rehab as well as Must Therapy. But at least for Paragon, I actually prefer the way that this Lattafa Vintage Radio smells over Paragon just slightly. And the reason for that is Paragon kind of has like this slightly sort of herbal, more herbal type of feel to the fragrance in terms of how it smells. Whereas this to me kind of has that slightly kind of Middle Eastern spiciness, you know, to the feel of the fragrance that I actually do prefer a little bit more than what I do from Paragon. So it to me, it just makes it slightly more masculine leaning, which I do like from this scent profile, because this is a very sort of sweet fragrance. The plum in this is extremely sweet, you know, really kind of like sugary and sweet. But you know, the sort of spiciness that you get from the Vintage Radio interpretation is something that I welcome a lot. So definitely, man, if you're looking for a solid interpretation of Paragon that, you know, gives you really good performance as well, and I'm talking easily over, you know, 10 plus hours for the longevity, and then the projection is going to be at least about an arm's length for about the first hour and a half or so, then definitely check out Vintage Radio from Lattafa. All right, so another one from Lattafa. This one was actually a fragrance that I picked up to see how close it came to the original, being that I already had the original fragrance, and I was really blown away with how close this actually came to the original fragrance, that I was just like, I don't need the original, and I sold it. So this one is Lattafa's Jasoor, and this is their take on what is it, Valentino's Born in Roma Coral Fantasy. So it's this really nice, fresh, you know, red apple sort of scent that you get. Red apple, lavender, tobacco. I believe there's some vanilla in this as well. Just overall, man, just a really, really nice scent. Something that I would say is a really good choice for date nights. I've worn this scent profile in the daytime as well, so you can absolutely wear this, you know, casually in the daytime. But I think this is definitely best suited for the nighttime, especially if you're going on a date or if you're going to a lounge, a club, anything like that. Then I think this is really going to be a good choice because it does project very nicely. Now, I did find the Jasoor to be slightly more kind of denser than what the Valentino was. The Valentino seemed to be a little bit more on the aromatic side. But either way, man, this was still like at least, I don't know, like 95% close to, you know, Born in Roma Coral Fantasy. And this is only like $30 for 100 ml. Whereas Born in Roma Coral Fantasy for 100 ml right now, I believe you can get for around $90 to $100 or so. So it's not the most expensive fragrance in the world, but this is absolutely cheaper and it comes extremely close. Like I said, it is a little bit denser, you know, from what I could tell than what the Valentino was, but performance-wise, this is really good. I easily get over 10 hours of longevity with this, and the projection is going to be, I would say, slightly better, you could say, or at least that's the way it comes off because it's a little bit denser than the Valentino, but it did seem to kind of project a little bit better for like the first hour and a half, 2 hours or so than what the Valentino did. So again, man, definitely check out Jasoor from Lattafa if you're looking for a really good alternative to Valentino's Born in Roma Coral Fantasy. And then the last one on the list, this is another one from Joe Milano, and this is their take on my favorite fragrance right now, Louis Vuitton's Imagination, and this is Game of Spades Full House. So Game of Spades Full House, when compared to Imagination, obviously Imagination is going to be the better blended, better smelling overall fragrance, but this comes very, very close. And you know, I've seen people in the comments kind of asking me, oh, well, what about this fragrance? What about that fragrance when compared to this? this is the best one that I've smelled. All right, so this is the best. This, as of right now, unless I smell another fragrance that comes out maybe 6 months later that's even more higher quality than this, Game of Spades Full House from Joe Milano is the best Louis Vuitton Imagination interpretation that I've smelled. All right, now obviously I haven't smelled every single one. I know a lot of people, bring up Art of Arabia 1 from Lattafa or something like that. That one I haven't smelled, but this is better than Essence de Blanc. It's better than, Trois from Paris Corner. It's better than, Alexandria's Visionary. It just is overall the best one that I've smelled. Now, in the opening, this one is going to be a little bit sweeter than Imagination in terms of how it does the citruses and the tea. It does come off as slightly sweeter. And then what else was it? I believe the Louis Vuitton Imagination is slightly more watery than what this is as well. So, and overall, I mean, I think the neroli in the Imagination is also done slightly better. But I mean, overall, again, this is still going to be better than any other Imagination interpretation that I've smelled. Just from start to finish, it does the best job. Essence de Blanc was really a really good interpretation. But when you first spray Essence de Blanc on, it does come off as a lot more tart than what Imagination does. It does do the tea and the dry down of Imagination really, really good. I would say you could probably even say that it does the tea better than what this does. But just overall, from start to finish, this fragrance, to me, Game of Spades Full House, does the Imagination scent profile overall the best. All right. Also, this gives you really good performance as well. So this actually is going to give you better projection than what Imagination does. And it gives you about the same longevity. So at least for me anyway, I easily get over 12 hours with Imagination every time I wear it. And I get the same thing with this and even more. So if you're not going to go out and actually purchase the real Imagination because you don't see yourself spending, now they've gone up to $330 for these 100 ml bottles, then I would absolutely say that if you want to get the best interpretation, under $100, then Game of Spades Full House is for sure going to be your best choice. All right. So definitely check out Game of Spades Full House from Joe Milano. All right, and that's the list, man. That is my list of my top 15 best inspirations or clones that I have in my collection that I purchased this year. I'm sure there'll probably be some, inspirations that I'll get in between now and the end of December that could possibly have made it to this list. But I wanted to get this list out of the way now. Because I do really feel strongly about everything that I have on this list. All right. So let me know in the comments if you all have most of, if not all of these fragrances on the list. And if so, do you agree that these are some of the best inspirations of these fragrances that are out there? Also, I'll have links in the description to where you can purchase all of these fragrances as long as they're still available. And also, if you're brand new to the channel, do me a favor, go ahead and subscribe. And again, that's Jamar from Vegas Scents. I'll see you on the next video.